Alright. This here's another wrestling rant. Discussion, whatever you want to call it. When I was growing up in the 1980s, there was nothing better than sitting back and watching it till it was perfection. Wrestling of the 80s made stars beyond stars. Tag team wrestling back in the 80s was numerous. I mean, back in you had all the territories, you had your major promotions, the World Wrestling Federation, the National Heavyweight Association, the AWA, American Wrestling Association. You had World Class. You had Portland Wrestling. You had Canadian Wrestling, San Francisco Wrestling, Florida. I could go on and on. Bill Watts. I tell you, folks, I have watched all of it. I mean, tag team wrestling back in was so awesome. I mean, and then you had your stars. You could not compare nobody to Ric Flair. Ric Flair was a true heavyweight champion. When you was the NWA champion, ladies and gentlemen, you've traveled. And this is no crap. It was in their contract, okay? The people of the NWA voted to who they was wanting to be heavyweight champion. They voted for Rick. Vince McMahon Jr.'s daddy voted for Rick to hold that title. Okay? We're talking about everybody. Bob Geigel, all these people. Flair would be on Mid-Atlantic Wrestling, okay? Or you could say Georgia, Mid-Atlantic, whatever you want to call it, that came on Saturday nights, okay? He was on there. And then Monday, whenever you go to watch World Class, he was in World Class defending his title against the Von Erich boys or Chris Adams or one of the Freebirds. It didn't matter because Flair went to every territory that was under the NWA and he defended that title against all comers. Look it up. Flair went to Georgia. During, I think it was like his second reign. He fought Tony Atlas, Tommy Wildfire Rich. He defended against Ole Anderson, believe it or not. Dusty Rhodes. Go to World Class, defended against David Von Erich, Kevin Von Erich, Kerry Von Erich, Chris Adams, Brian Adidas. If y'all don't know who Brian Adidas is, look him up on Wikipedia. All the stars. In the Pacific Northwest, it was Billy Jack Haynes. Billy Jack Haynes was a major superstar in the Pacific Northwest, because that's where Roddy Piper first started out. That's when I seen Piper in an old wrestling magazine, wrestling in the Pacific Northwest. Look that up. Flair was the champion of all champions in the 80s, because he was the man. He could get out of sticky situations. He could get out of all kinds of stuff. Wrestling, tag team wrestling back in the 80s gave a lot of tag teams. Tag teams that you can't name them all in one video, because it was so good in the 80s. It was just unbelievable. Road Warriors were very good in the NWA, and the Midnight Express, the Rock and Rolls, the Fantastics. I remember a match in Bill Watts UWF. That was the first UWF before they were bought out by Jim Crockett. Tag teams down there was brutal, absolutely brutal. And I remember the match between the Fantastics and the Sheepherders. Barbed wire. These guys sliced and sliced and sliced each other's flesh. Their fingers were bleeding. And you can't do that now. It's taboo. It's way too taboo. And wrestling back in the 80s, you had so many kinds of matches, dog collar matches, strap matches. It wasn't a yappa-pie, blah, 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 blah. It was called strap matches, where you had to drag your opponent to each corner. Wahoo McDaniel was very good for it. The Russian chain matches with Ivan Koloff. The bunkhouse matches, Battle Royal. Dusty Rhodes made that, and he was champ of all of it. And now they throw the Royal Rumble as their main battle royal. Woo! And it seems like to me that they have to dig and scratch their brains now to figure out what they gonna do come WrestleMania. They screwed up at the last pay-per-view, which I forgot what it's called. Tables, ladders, and chairs with Cena and Orton, and then Orton climbs the ladder to get both titles. It's been 50 years since they've only had one champion. 50 years. I mean, they had it back in 2002, but it didn't last long. Who held them titles? Seriously. Chris Jericho. Good for him. Really, good for him, because he was the one that done that, and he deserved it. Then it went to Triple H. Of course it's going to go to Triple H. And then it went to Brother. Oh, brother. Forget him anyways. Then went to the Taker. Then it went to Brock Lesnar. And that's when the brand split. But I'm talking about one champion. I don't know if it's going to last. I don't know how they're going to do it. Because they should have done that at WrestleMania this year. They have really screwed up. Folks, there it is. There it is. I mean, plain and simple. If you're a true wrestling fan, go back to the 80s. If you're a fan of it now, look on here on YouTube. Look up matches from NWA, AWA, World Class. Anything. That is where wrestling is. And it's entertainment now. So, I mean, just look it up.